The Indian Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi has warned of the open collusion between Pakistan and China, which is threatening Indian national defense and security. The Indian Army Chief openly stated, quote, "The two-front threat is a reality," unquote. This assertion highlights the military cooperation between these two nations to counter India's growth and influence in the Indo-Pacific. He added, quote, "What we have to understand is that we have to be very clear that there is a high degree of collusivity which we must accept. In terms of virtual field, it is nearly 100%. In terms of physical, I would say most of the equipment there or in Pakistan is of Chinese origin," unquote. Calling Pakistan the epicenter of terror, he stated that 60% of all terror elements neutralized by Indian armed forces last year were of Pakistani origin, which continues to pose a significant threat to India's security. The Army Chief's remark is not the first one, as former Army Chief General M.M. Naravne also noted in 2021 that when it comes to Pakistan and China, the threat of collusivity cannot be wished away. The Army Chief's statement also comes days after the Chinese Foreign Minister reached out to India amidst US threats of a major trade war. The statement showcases how despite China's recent outreach, the Indian defense establishment is well aware of the threat posed by China along the LAC border ever since the 2020 Galwan Valley clashes. The Indian Army Chief's reality check has come amidst increasing military collaboration between China and Pakistan. In fact, Pakistani President Zardari visited Beijing last month to meet President Xi Jinping with a focus on economic and trade cooperation, security collaboration, and the multi-billion-dollar economic corridor, adding, quote, "Pakistan and China will always be friends," unquote. In fact, 82% of all Pakistani arms imports between 2019 and 2023 were of Chinese origin, up from 69% between 2014 and 18. China's share of Pakistani defense systems has also gone up significantly in just the last 10 years. And now Islamabad is also set to procure 40 advanced stealth fighter jets from Beijing. Pakistan will become the first and only country outside China to possess the J-35s, while China has also found no buyers yet for its flagship J-20 jets. The deliveries of the J-35, infamous as being the cheap copy of Lockheed Martin F-35, is expected to be completed within the next 2 years. However, it remains unclear how such a large deal will be financed, especially by a country marred by an economic crisis and dependent on bailout packages from the IMF and the World Bank. The big question is, how is bankrupt Pakistan buying high-tech defense equipment from China? But I guess when your loan shark asks you to buy something, do you really have a choice? Meanwhile, China continues its double-speak and has launched an outreach program aimed at India. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has called on New Delhi and Beijing to work together as partners for mutual success. The Chinese FM highlighted the importance of cooperation between the two Asian giants and stressed on military disengagement at the final two friction points of Demchok and Depsang regions in Ladakh. The Chinese FM stated how the dragon and the elephant dance is the only correct choice for both sides. He added, quote, "Both sides should support each other rather than consume each other, cooperate closely rather than be wary of each other, as this is in the fundamental interest of both countries and their peoples," unquote. Even as CCP mouthpiece, the Global Times pitched in, advocating for a constructive approach to bilateral engagements and cooperation. So why then is the CCP reaching out now to India? Is it because China needs its huge market, India, amidst threats of a trade war with America? And why did China attempt to salami slice in 2020? And why does it continue to claim India's internationally recognized state of Arunachal Pradesh? However, the comments from the CCP come in the backdrop of Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also expressing his desire for a stable and peaceful situation at the LAC border. While speaking at a Premium Policy Institute in London, Jaishankar stressed, quote, "The key issue is how to create a stable equilibrium and transition into the next phase of equilibriums. We want a stable relationship where our interests are respected, our sensitivities are recognized, and where it works for both of us," unquote. So on one side, China is talking peace, and on the other hand, selling billions of dollars of weapons to Pakistan, as well as violating India's sovereignty by participating in the CPEC project, which passes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. So can India ever really trust China? The reality is that China needs India for trade at a time when Trump has slapped 20% tariffs on imports from China. China and USA have been exchanging top spots as India's largest trading partner. Bilateral trade between India and China in FY 2024 stood at $118.4 billion. But out of this, India's exports to China stood only at $16.6 billion. This means that China holds a nearly $100 billion trade surplus with India, and India has become a huge source of income and a market for Chinese products. So will the CCP ever take steps to address this trade imbalance with India? Now, in the past, China has expressed willingness to address India's concerns about the widening trade imbalance, but words were not followed with any measurable action. In fact, China has gone on to impose restrictions on export of critical equipment, disrupting India's manufacturing growth. The move is aimed at hindering India's manufacturing in high-tech sectors like electronics, solar panels, and EVs, which traditionally have been reliant on Chinese imports. China is rattled by India's manufacturing growth and does not want New Delhi as a competitor. The shortage of machinery is meant to make it harder for companies like Taiwan's Foxconn to expand their manufacturing base in India and increase operational costs at the same time. Given the Chinese panda's actions, can India take CCP outreach seriously? And how real is the threat of a two-front war? The defense manufacturing industry in India has taken a significant leap forward, with Alpha Tokol Engineering Services handing over the first rear fuselage for the Tejas Mk-1A fighter jet to the HAL in Bangalore. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh welcomed it as a step in India's march towards self-reliance, hailing the synergy between HAL and private companies, with organizations such as Larsen & Toubro, Tata Advanced Systems, and VEM Technologies providing crucial components. India's indigenous fighter jet project is taking off. This will augment HAL's production capacity and satisfy the Indian Air Force's requirements from 2025-26. With public-private collaboration booming, the Tejas project is not only bolstering national security, but also driving India to a new phase of aerospace advancement. Indian naval ship INS Imphal made a spectacular entry in Port Louis before the 57th National Day of Mauritius on the 12th of March. Following a noble tradition, the warship visit reiterates India's strong maritime relations with Mauritius. INS Imphal was accompanied by a marching contingent, a naval band, and a helicopter to support a ceremonial flypast. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was the chief guest this year. Apart from celebrations, Imphal's visit involves defense cooperation activities like joint surveillance with the Mauritius Coast Guard, cross-training, and public outreach. Imphal's visit reinforces India's neighborhood-first policy as well as vision of Sagar. Commissioned in 2023, Imphal is one of India's most sophisticated warships, reflecting India's resolve to regional stability and its long-standing relationship with Mauritius. Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button, and subscribe to Inconnect News.